Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Horror Analysis with me, Drew. Right. We're going to continue with Section E. Horror. Nope. Screwed that one up already. Non-narrative horror. Um, last time, it was a while ago because I had to go and do other stuff and my computer broke again. Last time, we did an intro and I did sculpture. Okay. So, this time, we're going to go into painting. And I had to split this up into two videos. There's just too much in painting. Well, not painting necessarily, but static, static two-dimensional art. So, painting, sketches, engraving, chalk, drawings, pen, whatever. All sorts. Static, two-dimensional art. And then, of course, the first person I have to talk about is going to be mostly sculptor. Well, partly sculptor. I'm going backwards in time in this section A. Well, both sections. I'll be going backwards in time. From about today till the 17th century, which is 17th century. Which is 1600s? No. Well, 17th century doesn't have a whole lot. It has Gentileschi and Caravaggio. Artemisia Gentileschi and Caravaggio. But otherwise, and only a little bit of Caravaggio. But, after 1656, when Artemisia Gentileschi dies, there's not really a lot until you get to Fuseli, which is 1741. So there's a good 50 years, and that's the break I'm going to, actually almost 100 years, and that's the break I'm going to go for. So, 1700s forward. So 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, and 21st century. That means nothing to you guys because I haven't talked about anything yet. Alright, so I'm going to go backwards, 21st century, 20th century, 19th century, and 18th century. And for the most part, 21st century is done because I don't have anything. When I had the 21st century sculptors is because I was on Huffington Post, and Huffington Post said, "Look at these creepy sculptures, aren't they creepy?" And I said, "I like creepy stuff, let me click on that link." They didn't do that with paintings. And if you type in 21st century art, you're just going to get films with an occasional book, like 30 to 1. Oops, that's not my tea. That's my tea. But, lucky for us, the first person I have to talk about is still alive. Talk to, that'd be an interesting interview. That's H.R. Geiger, or Giger, however you pronounce his name. Famous, of course, for Alien design. The movie Alien. And, of course, the pictures I have for him are awful. That's the Alien sketch. This is also Alien-y. This is called the Necronomicon. I think that's sort of what it's entitled. Let me see what I have for titles. These are not good pictures. Giger. Necronom V Medium is what the thing's called, but what the actual work's called, I'm not sure. You've seen him. If you've ever been in a college kid's dorm, you've seen him. He's everywhere. He's done a lot of stuff with rock people, so, the lead singer from Korn has a mic stand made by him. Ibanez Guitars has a series of Geiger inspired guitars. Very popular with metal-y type people. Here's the best painting I found from him. Also, it's kind of dark, kind of atmospheric. Also, exceedingly phallic. That's something that there's something underlying in most of Geiger's stuff that's either phallic or whatever the opposite of phallic would be. Sexual undertones in a lot of Geiger's work. Tea's done, finally. Alright. And the pictures I have for him weren't very good, unfortunately. Moving on. Geiger was born in 1940 and he's still with us. He's still alive. Now that is exceedingly hot water. Jeebus. That was hot. Okay. And moving on. The next person I want to talk to. You can't talk to him, he's dead. Talk about is Francis Bacon, who was born in 1909, died in 92. Also very weird. He sometimes has a Guillermo del Toro vibe, occasionally running into other stuff. This is one, he's like Slaughterhouse influenced here, but you have the flesh of animals there. I think this might be one of his self-portraits. Yeah, it is a self-portrait. His other self-portrait is here. Also kind of creepy. He has, seemingly innocuous things that are just utterly weird. Man in a cap. He has this one here. This strikes me as a Guillermo del Toro vibe. The blank faces, the what's the Japanese? The Nopero bow? Or is that the badger? There's a Japanese story of the Muhina. No. Yeah, I think so. The Muhina, but that means badger, but what he meant to say was Nuperobo. Lafcadio Hearn is the guy who introduced this sort of ghost, the faceless ghost, into the West, because he went to Japan and wrote in English about these ghosts. This is sort of faceless. Well, it has mouth and hair in this case and a nose sort of thing, but it doesn't have, it's an interesting thing. And there's two things about the Pope, or the Pope of the time. Innocent, something or other. I don't know what innocent it was, number-wise, but one of the innocents. This is like the Pope meets scanners. It's very twisted, I guess is the nice is a good term for it. So as I mentioned in the last video, I don't think that these are non-narrative. I think you create a story along with it, or at least part of a story for these. It invites storytelling. There's just something about them that does. The next person I want to go over is Egon Schiele, or Schiele. Most famous for The Kiss, but he's done a lot of other stuff. He didn't last very long. Actually, he died very young, 28. So he didn't do a lot of stuff. He was very influential. Actually, last I saw, his Kiss was the highest paid work of art, sold for the highest amount of money. I hope you guys are picking up what I'm trying to throw down here. It might have changed now, but at one point, 5 or 6 years ago, it sold, and it broke the record for how much it sold. That's probably the best way to put it. But that was the Kiss, and that's probably his most famous work. This is Death and the Maiden. This one here. Death and the Maiden is sort of a theme in paintings or art. That it involves a maiden, a young woman, dying. A lot of artists just do a Death and the Maiden, and it's like, oh, do a young woman and her embracing death and dying. This is actually the next one on the list is Edvard Munch, and that's his Death and the Maiden. It's like Memento Mori, where artist will do a screenshot. It's actually what I was going for, but that's not what I meant. A still life. A screenshot. Screenshot is a still life. A screenshot, and then they'll put a skull in it, just as a memento mori, a reminder, and mori is death. A reminder that everybody's going to die. Everybody is mortal. Or the Judith slaying Holofernes, which I showed you a Donatello sculpture of. It's been a week or two. I've forgotten who done it. Who did it? Who? Donatello, Judith Holofernes. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of artists do these kind of things: Memento Mori's, Death and the Maiden, Judith slaying Holofernes. Just sort of a trend, like still lifes of apples and stuff, or flowers, or whatever. People do them, and other people do them, and all these artists have their own take on them. So Death and the Maiden by Schiele is going to be drastically different than Death and the Maiden by Munch, or Death and the Maiden by this guy down here, Chavannes. Or is there another one on here? I don't think there is. We'll get to Chavannes later. And then later on in the next video, I'm going to have even more, and a lot more, Judith and Holofernes. So Schiele was a very young artist when he died, so he didn't have a lot of horrific stuff, but he's an artist of note, and that is kind of creepy. An interesting piece. Okay, so let's go to Munch. Munch is, of course, most famous for the Scream. I actually have a thing on the Scream. I didn't post a picture of it because everybody knows the Scream, and get rid of that. What's that doing up here? Oh, because I had to switch things. Go away. Everybody knows the Scream. There was a writer who said Whistler's Mother, American Gothic, the Mona Lisa, and the Scream are the foremost recognizable paintings in the world. And when I was trying to compile the list in my head, I forgot about American Gothic and Whistler's Mother. But yeah, they the Scream is certainly recognizable. Munch is an interesting character. I don't really want to talk about these people's lives. my manifesto of philosophy of art pounds into everybody's head that the artist doesn't matter. If the work doesn't stand on its own, the sob story behind the work doesn't make the work good, or make the work more interesting. The story behind it. Some little interesting things like Death in the Maiden being a thing that most artists do. Lots of artists do. Sorry. Or Memento Mori is a thing that lots of artists do. Lots of artists have done Judith slaying Holofernes. That's sort of an art world thing that you can get into, but if the art doesn't stand on its own, the paragraph explaining the art on the side of the painting doesn't do you any good. That being said, Munch had a really interesting life. I'm not saying his work stands on its own. If it didn't, he wouldn't be Munch. Munch was actually institutionalized for a while, and when he got out, he really wasn't good anymore, but he didn't do anything interesting more. That's not fair either. He stuck to basically portrait painting after he self-portrait and portrait painting after he got out of the institution mental collapse thing. He didn't drink anymore, and he didn't hang out with his buddies anymore. So he didn't get into the dark places, but the dark places, of course, what I'm interested in. This is his Death in the Maiden sketch, of course, as I mentioned a couple times. This is his Madonna. Of course, Madonna, being the mother of Christ, is a popular subject matter for artists. But that is a dark, dark Madonna. The halo around her head is essentially blood red. That rhymed. That's kind of good. And just in general, I mean, she looks peaceful. She looks at peace, but she looks dead as well. She looks... It looks dark. This is a sketch by him. Let's see what it is. It says at the bottom here, because I have this thing up on Munch. Yeah, this is Vampire, 1895. Munch dates 1863 to 1944. Shields dates 1890 to 1918. I'm going to try to remember to keep those up in my head. Right, so that was the Vampire. And I can see it. It's a woman after the guy's neck, and the hair is blood red, which sort of masks things that could be blood. And then finally, this is a weeping nude. But this just reminds me of the... This isn't fair to Munch, but, my brain's going to go where my brain goes. That reminds me of The Ring. Anyone else see it? Weeping nude. Oh, any woman weeping with their long hair over their face, it's going to remind you of some sort of horror movie, right? That's just a motif in horror movies. The fact that, unfair to Munch, who died before that motif became a horror movie motif, but you know what? It's there now, and unfortunately, that creeps me out a little bit. It's a very good painting. I enjoy it as well. Next, we have Gustave Doré. Now, see, contrasting Doré with Munch, or Doré with Goya, who's coming up pretty soon. There's nothing in Doré's life that strikes me as, oh my gosh, this is so traumatic. This is why he went in all dark places. That's why psychology of horror is ridiculous to me. Another reason why psychology of horror is ridiculous to me. And not any of my interests. So Doré didn't seem to have any obvious, wars going on where he was seeing people slaughtered every day, or, trips to a mental institution where he was having to deal with mental institution people. if you read his Wikipedia article, he basically, it reads as though, which is Wikipedia, so you can't really trust it 100%. It reads as though he drew creepy things because that's what he got paid most for. He was an illustrator of books. One of his big, his big break into the book illustrating business was illustrating Poe, which he did dark stuff of. Then he went in to illustrate Dante's Inferno, which was dark. Tennyson, what was it? We'll go over it, but there's some interesting stuff. And some Shakespeare as well, I believe. This was one that was... That's not it. Back up. This is Tavern in Whitechapel. This is one of his few paintings as well. This is just... if you know what the title is, you can see, it's people walking through a bar and, people looking at them from their booths. But if you didn't know the title of the painting, it's getting into contextualism again, context of the painting, it just looks ghastly or ghostly. Not ghastly, it's a very good painting, but ghostly. It's haunting. It's translucent people. This is one of his few paintings too. A lot of these are etchings and what are they called? Engravings? Prints, I suppose. A lot of these are going to be from Dante's Inferno. This is, of course, the final circle of hell with the ice and the people being trapped, the damned souls being trapped in the ice with Virgil and the pilgrim walking through. Another scene from Inferno with a detailed picture. Now that is a Spider-Woman, as far as I can see. I don't remember that from my reading of Inferno, but maybe I missed something. And that is a damn good fusion monster. I don't want to say Spider-Woman, because that just makes people think of Marvel Comics, but what was it? But Spider and Woman, you smash them together and you get that. This one's called The Deluge. It's from the flood story in the Bible. But drowning people is a pretty horrific way to die. And a tiger on there too. These are from the Inferno. This is one of the demonic things. I think that's Lucifer, isn't it? What is that one called? Oh no, this is from Paradise Lost. So Satan from Paradise Lost. Got my illustrations mixed up. This is from the Inferno. Muhammad from the Inferno. This is just an awful picture. This didn't hold up on the screen at all. This is actually, it's actually a very good one. It's one of my favorites, but unfortunately I couldn't find a good picture of it. This is Banquo at the feast from Macbeth, which, as I've mentioned, has creeped me out several times in different versions. When I was talking about, my nose itches. Here, look at this one while I scratch my nose. Yeah, so unfortunately you can't see. You see Banquo in a chair, and you see Macbeth freaking out. That's about all, and you can see a chandelier in the front, but you can't see any details. Because unfortunately I couldn't find a good picture of it. Yeah. This final one... Oh, no, it's not final one, because I found other ones. I'm way behind. This is Christian Martyrs. You see the angels coming down and the lions eating people. I think that's kind of creepy myself. This one's called Enigma. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a modern retelling of Sophocles, not Sophocles, of Oedipus Rex. Was it Sophocles? With the Sphinx. Enigma certainly suggests that. This is from Tennyson. It's not very dark. Well, it's not very scary, but it's atmospheric. The ruined castle with Merlin and Arthur. This one's called Orlando Furioso, from what I could gather, and I have no idea what that means. Sorry. This is from the Inferno, as is this one. This is nice. Actually, before I click onto the next one, this is a nice in the corner. The bird person. Which is a nice little fusion. It's from Dante himself. It's not necessarily... Oh, actually, the tree person is a nice fusion as well. Also from Dante himself, not from Dore. And this is the Sea of Lost Souls, where in the Inferno. So that was Dore. We're going to go into Pierre Puvet de Chavannes. Well, it's probably Chavannes, isn't it? He did another Death in the Maiden. So I showed you this picture previously. He is not very well known, but this Death in the Maiden was kind of good. It's more classical. I think I was very shocked to know how recent he was. It struck me as an older style of painting. But very good. I thought it was worth a mention, especially since Death and Maiden are one of these well-known themes. Now we go into Goya. Goya's one of these interesting cats who got stuck in the middle of the Spanish Civil War and had to... a Spanish Civil? Yeah. Oh, no, maybe not. No. It was Goya. Goya had a strange war, but it wasn't Spanish Civil. Spanish Civil was later. Goya. Yeah. He had a weird war. What was his war? Oh no, he had to deal with Napoleon. Or the brother Napoleon, Joseph I. Yeah, I was off there. Sorry. My history got lost in my art history. Yeah, so dropping all sorts of stuff. Napoleonic invasion of Spain, which of course was traumatic to him, and he still had did a lot of painting for French patrons, but he was affected, and you could obviously affected by this, and it affected his work. As you'll see, we've mentioned this one before. Gavan Desplumados, the chicken people or the bird people. In the fusion, I showed you that picture, I believe, before. In this picture, I've also shown you before. This is part of his strange house. This is Saturn devouring his son, Francisco Goya. Oh shoot, I didn't give you dates for Goya. Goya's dates 1746 to 1828. Chavannes dates 1824 to 1898. This is also Saturn devouring his son on the Philosophy of Horror by Noel Carroll book. That's a better picture. Well, I'm getting a better picture that way. There we go. Um, this and the rest of them on this thing are all ones that are from Goya's house. There's an interesting thing on his black period. Darker subject matter. Black paintings. The black painting series. We're all in his house. I gotta get to that screen. Sorry. Saturn devouring his son. Just dark series. Oh, and he has a Judith of Holofernes? Oh, he does. That's not a very good picture, unfortunately. So I'm not going to put it up. Oh, I'll put it up. Why not? Save image as. So, Goya's black paintings were all in this house. And actually, if you look up... No. If you look up his... There we go. Sorry. I'm trying to snag a painting. If you look at it, the website about his house, you'll see open these paintings and where they're arranged in the house, because they're all in essentially the same area. You know, you look this way, you see Saturn devouring his son. You look this way, you see another painting. You look this way, you see another painting, and they're all black, dark paintings. Actually, this one's not in his house. This is also a dark painting of his. Where is it? Oh, In the Yard with Lunatics. So, not very pleasant subject matter. He was getting into some dark stuff. So as that wasn't part of the house, but it was part of his thing. This is his Judith and Holofernes. It's not as graphic as many others that we'll see. But that was part of the Black House. This is the May 3rd one. I think is also part of his Black House. Well, maybe not. Disasters of War. Well, not part of the Black House series, but our Black Painting series. The 3rd of May, 1808. It's a bunch of people being slaughtered. Real non-fictional horror, I suppose, is what you would be calling that. This is Old Men Eating Soup, I believe is the title, or something along those lines. I don't have it up in front of me. But that's disturbing in and of itself. It's not ghosts, but it could certainly be. I don't remember who this is. Jeez. What do we have for things here? Goya. Old Men. Is what that title is. And Black Sabbath, or Witch's Sabbath. Which is an okay picture, I suppose. And these were all in this sort of same room in his house. I would have just creeped me out, I think, more than anything else. Yeah, so he... Is it on here? Yeah, actually, if you go to the Wikipedia Goya Black Paintings, you can see the layout of his house and where each of the paintings were. Unfortunately, these paintings... I mean, it's kind of hard to do it justice on here. On, this kind of screen. But these paintings are very long. Um, for the most part, wide, I suppose, is the right term. Get off that. There we go. And you can find out like where they were in the house. So basically, everywhere you turned, you'd get hit with one of these black paintings. It's one of those things. And most of the, they had to be reproduced outside of it because I think he just painted on the walls. I might be misreading that. I might have misread that. Lots of references to witchcraft, civil conflicts, etc., etc. He did not write of them, and he didn't speak of them. He didn't intend for them to be exhibited at all. So interesting, but that's also contextual stuff that really doesn't matter. Right. Finally, last but certainly not least, actually it's probably my favorite out of this group, is Fuseli. Henry Fuseli, or Heinrich, I think was what his real name was. Heinrich? Let me find it. Fuseli. Yeah. Johann Heinrich Fuseli, a Swiss painter who lived in England most of his life. Again, he doesn't seem to have all that much dramatic stuff happening to him. He had to leave Switzerland because he got in political trouble, but it didn't strike me as he saw people being slaughtered every day the way Goya probably did, or had stuff twisted in his brain the way Munch did. There's different varying degrees. Does that make the work less intense? No, not at all. His most famous work by far is Nightmare. Most people have seen this before. There's about a bunch of different versions of it. The Nightmare, there's two different versions, one with a white horse on the other side and one with the black horse on the side. So it depicts a nightmare. It's kind of obvious. And a lot of other dark focused paintings. He did also do he's more Anglophilic, so he did a lot of Shakespeare stuff, which we'll get to. This is Titania and Bottom, I believe. What's the titles on these? Titania and Bottom. Yep. We have this one, which I don't know the title of, and it's not a very good picture, but it's a woman stretched out and a man mourning over or looking over her. One of my favorites by him is Silence. It's incredibly creepy to me, but again, it's that horror trope of horror movie cliche, even, that a woman with her hair over her head crying, or sitting like that is scary, something, a threat. Okay, so here we're going into the Shakespearean stuff. This is Hamlet, or someone trying to restrain Hamlet from going to his dead father. This is the witches from Macbeth. There's another picture of that coming up. Let me see if I can find that one first. Nope, I can't. Which one is it? This is witches sacrificing someone. Lapland witches, I believe it's called. I don't know what this is called. And it's not a very good picture. Shoot. I don't know what this is called, and it's not a very good picture. I think this is probably more classical, though. Titania. Something along those lines. Oh, this was horseman attacked by giant snake. Which is what it looks like. see. What am I missing here? I'm missing some. Oh, this is also a Hamlet. Hamlet and his ghost, his father's ghost. And Hamlet looks like the dead one on this. Something about Fuseli, his living people don't necessarily look living. Here's a Macbeth. This is Lady Macbeth grabbing the daggers. This is very spectral. Even Macbeth in the scene, who's alive in the scene, looks ghostly, and Lady Macbeth looks evil. This is Lady Macbeth sleepwalking. So, again... Oh, and this is Macbeth and the ghost, the witches. Which is also this. He does a theme over and over again. Before I get to that. Okay, so this is one of those. Milton is the figure in whose face is green for no reason whatsoever. It's not a very good picture, unfortunately. I couldn't find it. It's Milton and his daughter. His daughter's transcribing Milton's work, but Milton's green and corpse-like and disturbing. And I don't know why, but it's an that's why context doesn't matter. He might be thinking, Fuseli might be thinking, man, this is a great portrait of Milton. And everybody else thinks, holy crap, there's a monster there. And of course, that's not even a good picture of the portrait, unfortunately. I don't know what Fuseli thought about this kind of work, but he does have a very strange way of portraying people. This is Scylla and Charybdis. Odysseus and on Scylla are passing by Scylla and Charybdis. That's one word I've never been able to pronounce correctly. Scylla and Charybdis. This is Thor beating the crap out of the world serpent, or something along those lines. Battering the world serpent. I didn't think Fuseli would go with beating the crap out of. Battering the world serpent. And finally we have another Shakespearean, I think. Yeah, Titania Awakening, I believe. Which isn't frightening, but it's interesting. You have the bottom there with the ass head, which is, of course, fusion. If not horrific fusion, it's fusion. Fuseli was 1741 to 1825. Prior to that, you have 80 years of nothing before you get into the next section of not horrific people, but interesting, dark, bloody, Caravaggio bloody people. Artemisia Gentileschi. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. I have to admit that she's only one of my favorites because she's in the 1632 books on occasion, which are awesome, and she's awesome in them. But her paintings are really cool too. And then Caravaggio, we have a couple of other people I want to find out more about because I like them. Hans Boldung, I want to find out more about Hans Boldung. And of course, Bosch is going to be coming up. Bruegel the Elder is going to be coming up. And one of the ones that always disturbed me for, well, months, if not years, was Andrea Mantegna. We'll be going over that more. I'm going to do part 2 coming up pretty soon. I'll enjoy that. Hopefully you will too. But for now, we'll continue with Section E, non-narrative horror. But that's all for tonight. Thanks, folks. My name is Drew. Have a great night. Thanks for watching Horror Analysis.